Hello and welcome to a session on parenting in a digital world. My name is Joe Rendell. I'm the current head of Year 9 here at Royal Watson Bassett Academy. One of my roles and responsibilities for this year is to help deliver some curriculum time on internet safety for our young people, but also help to raise awareness for our parents and guardians as well. So the plan for this session is to have a little look at these three sections. We're going to look at the digital world and the world that our young people are growing up in and how they're using it, the problems that they may be associating, some kind of tips and tricks that could help you and them as well within this online world. We're going to have a look at cyberbullying and some of the impacts that this is having upon both our perpetrators and our victims and things that we can do to support our young people. And then also looking at where we can go to for extra support as well and some takeaways from this session. So I wanted to start off by kind of looking at how much our internet is being used. If we look at a minute from last year, 4.1 million different searches on Google, 1.3 million Facebook logins, we had nearly 700,000 scrolls on Instagram, we had nearly 200,000 tweets on Twitter, 59 million messages sent on WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. This to me is the big one. It's the place that a lot of our young people are messaging and communicating with their peers and adults outside in the community, both in school and outside, but 59 million in just 1 minute last year. This number is only increasing, and we'll see that as we look through the rest of this session. Nearly 1,500 downloads on TikTok in a minute, 1.2 million views on Twitch, which is linked to gaming and sharing video content. We had nearly 400,000 apps downloaded as well, but the staggering number of £1.1 million spent online in just a single minute. So we're looking at actually the internet is a big, powerful resource that our young people are using, not just our young people, but us as well. So it's actually good to think about how much it is being used. So we're going to move on and have a little look at how this may be impacting our young people. When I say looking at the impact it's having on our young people, I thought I'd break this down by different age groups and different categories. So our under fours, 51% use YouTube in 2019 compared to 37% in 2016. So we're looking at huge growth in the number of people and the number of young people that are using the internet for lots and lots of different reasons. Some of it's for education, a lot of it is for communication, a lot of it is for social time as well. 6 in 10 use any device to go online of our under fours. If we kind of come up between our 5 and our 7-year-olds, 27% use a smartphone and to go online, and 63% are using a tablet to do the same. 62% are playing games for just over 6 hours a week. 5% of our 5 to 7-year-olds have their own smartphone. Again, jumping up into 8 to 11s, so just before they're coming up to us here at Bassett, 45% use a smartphone to go online, 72% are using a tablet to do the same. Those numbers from younger years are increasing. 37% here, though, have their own smartphone. If we go up to our 12 to 15, which kind of covers our year 7 up to about the end of year 10, start of year 11, 74% who own a smartphone are allowed to take it to bed with them. We'll look at the impacts that might be having on sleep patterns and like the quality of sleep of our young people later on. 81% of them use their phone to go online, 69% do the same. 98% spend over 11 hours of streaming from a device per week. So just over 11 hours watching videos or streaming music from their mobile devices, and then 83% have their own smartphone. That number is only increasing as we see. So it's just kind of getting us associated with what different age groups are using what, how they're using their devices. It's really difficult. Okay, we understand this, we understand that we want students to have and our young people to have phones for safety, but we need to be kind of mindful about what it is they're using, what it is they're looking at, and how we as adults can work with them and help support them as we move forward. But it's not all doom and gloom with the internet. There are hundreds and hundreds of positives out there, and some of the positives that I just want to touch on now are that actually online games can enhance teamwork and creativity, can help people bond and kind of establish new friendships. We can also add to child's store of knowledge. So we know we Google for things, so are our children and our young people, and actually it's a great source of knowledge for us if we're doing it safely and productively. Households with computer perform better academically on the whole, so actually having those computers and those resources there, that is a big thing for us. And then it also can improve both our visual intelligence and our hand-eye coordination as well. If we look at Ofcom from 2020, it said that 89% of 8 to 13-year-olds said that using social media made them feel happy, and 82% said it helped them feel closer to their friends. So there are lots and lots of positives. It's just important that we are using it in a safe and productive way. So yes, and I've just touched on a few of the positives, but I just want to think about how technology can also be impactful and affect our child's development. If we look at sleep cycles, and I know there's been a lot of scientific research into sleep cycles and how the blue light from the screens can arouse our central nervous system, can get those neurons in our brains firing, can get us overstimulated, especially when it's coming to later on in the evening. This then does impact the quality and the depth of sleep that our children, our young people are having. It's been seen that children's day are often more forgetful than our elderly generation, some potentially due to the overstimulation, potentially due to the vast array of knowledge that they're getting, but we are seeing that they are tending to be more forgetful. One study found that the more distracted you are, the less able you are to experience empathy. So not being as empathetic, not having and being able to build up those emotions that can help in comforting others, understanding how other people are feeling. And then looking at gaming platforms use really persuasive design in order to keep people from using their products, and children are particularly vulnerable to these tactics. One of the things that is really researched into is when we're looking at how an app or a website is loading, the little circle that spins around on the screen, that's been designed in a particular way and of a particular speed with shapes and colours to keep you watching. Okay, so actually the internet and the software developers are very, very clever, and they are using tricks and tips that they have developed to get people to stay and to get people to carry on using their softwares. So if we look at some of the risks that parents are concerned about from here within the UK, 62% of parents that were interviewed in a study by Ofcom have been concerned about how the use of social media and the use of the internet can encourage self-harm. Privacy and data collection is around half our parents, cyberbullying 45%, radicalisation and the problems that may lead down that road around 41%, and excessive screen time at 25%. So although there are a number of online risks that children may be exposed to, it's important to note that these don't directly lead to harm all of the time. Being informed about the risks and implementing safeguarding to limit the likelihood of your child being exposed is the first line of defence, and one of the first lines of defence that we should all be doing as adults and as trusted adults and guardians of our young people. This is kind of 5 top tips, a 5-step plan that can help you put that action in place. So one of the first things here is to understand the risks. Talk to other adults, talk to other parents, use online resources that I'm going to go through today. Use the links that I will share with you towards the end of this for information on the risks involved with any online platform. National Online Safety is a fantastic resource, a fantastic website that will show you some of the risks and some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks of the apps that our young people are using. 2, to communicate regularly. Ask your children about their online usage and stress the importance of being private online. Being private online and not sharing any details and not oversharing who you are, where you are, what your likes are, what your mother's maiden name was, what the favourite colour is, what your first childhood pet's name was. These are all really, really key questions that are put up, and I know a lot of us do these, but actually this is one really good way that hackers use to get our information so they can get into our accounts. So actually being really quite private about our information online. Number 3 is to keep the risks in proportion. Consider what the benefits are compared to the risks. So yes, we're going to use WhatsApp potentially to communicate with our friends. Yes, we'll be using Snapchat to send pictures, etc. to our friends as well. However, are the benefits of this outweighing the risks? Is there too much risk involved? Number 4, agree on helpful mediation strategies. So speak with your child and your young person about what can be done if they find themselves in harm's way. Build that trust, build that open and honest relationship with them about their online use. And that trust will build, and then from there, they'll be able to talk to you if there are any issues that come to you. Number 5, develop coping strategies that foster resilience. We all want to be more resilient. We all want our young people to be more resilient and stronger and able to cope. So actually what is going to help them move past the risks is what can you do to ensure that they don't feel fear. So going back to that point with number 4, build that trust, build that positive relationship. make sure that they are able to come and talk to you and have that trusted adult within their life that they can discuss. So we're going to go through and look at how to deal with different things across the internet. And the first one is dealing with inappropriate content. It's possible that children may come across things online which are inappropriate for their age and their state of development. Tools like parental controls can help you to protect your children from accessing inappropriate content, but you can't check everything they see on the internet. So the first step is probably to have that open and honest conversation with them about what they do online and encourage them to talk to you if they see anything that upsets them. So if we think about what to talk about, they can come up to you if they see anything that upsets them. It may be that they've seen some pornography that represents an unrealistic image of sex or relationships, or it could be talking about the importance of respect for each other and the meaning of consent. In terms of kind of those top tips and those tools, so the parental controls on home broadband, so I know that on a lot of our broadband providers, you can actually set what can be seen, and you can set passwords up so that you as adults can see other things that our young people can't. Content locks on mobile networks. If you are paying the bill for a mobile phone, I would strongly suggest that you are setting those content locks on those phones and the networks so that they can't search for certain things. Safe searches on Google and other browsers and YouTube. There are child-friendly search engines, there is YouTube Kids, there are parental locks on those searches as well. If we think about the data at the top, so we think about our URL showing pornographic content is across more than 12% of the images, 12% of the internet. It's a shocking statistic, but the one in the middle, the average age to first view pornographic imagery on the internet is at 11 years old. It's a shocking statistic, and one that I know is probably shocking you as much as it did when we were researching this here at the school. And then a third of children have seen explicit images by the age of 10. And this is why it's really, really important for us as adults and guardians of our young people to set those rules and those expectations and set those relationships that we can have those honest conversations if our young people come across any of this content online. So moving on to inappropriate contact, there is a chance that your child may meet some people online and persons online who aren't who they say they are. Grooming is a word that is used to describe people befriending children in order to take advantage of them for sexual purposes. Many parents worry about online grooming, so it's important to talk to your children about how to stay safe online. So again, in a similar way to the last slide, things to talk about, and tips, etc. But if we start with the numbers, 48% of secondary school children have talked to strangers on social media. So that's nearly half of all of our young people. And the same with 48% of 11-year-olds have a social media profile. So actually, this is a really, really important thing for us to discuss and things that we need to work upon. So things that we want to talk about. You might want to talk about how sometimes people hide behind fake profiles for dishonest reasons. They might set up these fake accounts, set up fake pictures. There may be some Photoshop involved where they've got uniforms on to make them look slightly younger. It's horrible things to discuss, but actually it's things that we need to discuss and things that we need to talk about. We need to think about how we can agree on how they respond to these requests from people that they don't necessarily know, and people that not making friends or accepting friends for someone that they don't know. So making sure that if it's a name that they don't recognize, to block that straight away and to not befriend them. And then never ever meet up with anyone that they don't know. I stress that last point. It still happens in today's age, even though I know we've spoken about this with our young people and our students, and we've said this in school, and I know as parents at home we've said this as well, but to never meet up with anyone that they don't know. They wouldn't do it with a stranger, so why do it with a stranger in the online world as well? So it's really important that actually we are stressing that message again. In terms of top tips and tools to use, setting up safe social media profiles that don't share personal information. If we go to internetmatters.org, there's a great run through on how to do that. That website pops up towards the end as well, but there's a great step-by-step guide on how to do this. Turning on geolocation settings on devices so that we can see where our young people are. We can also kind of help get to them if anything happens. Using the strongest privacy settings on social media as well. Again, not sharing anything, not taking, accepting any people that we don't know, but making sure that our profiles are as locked down as we possibly can. learning how to report, learning how to block, learning how to mute. These are all things that we can be doing to help support our young people on dealing with inappropriate contact. So moving on to dealing with inappropriate conduct. The nature of devices is that children can contact each other all of the time. This also means that bullying isn't something that can just happen at school. There's a big section towards the end of this session on cyberbullying, so I won't go into too much detail on this now, but around 25% of children will experience some form of cyberbullying, and then 50% of children say that someone has been nasty to them online. It is something that happens. If we go back to when we were, when a lot of us were at school, if something happened at school, it would happen between the hours of around 8:30 till 3 o'clock, and then we wouldn't have to see those people unless we bumped into them out in the street or in the park later that evening. It happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Having these devices and these social media platforms makes our children, our young people, more accessible to online bullying. As I said, I will go through this in a lot more detail later on. But in terms of what to talk about, it's talking to that trusted adult if they experience anything upsetting online. So talking to parents, talking to guardians, older brothers and sisters, talking to their heads of year, their tutors, their student managers, etc., about things that they may be experiencing that upsets them. Thinking really carefully about sharing images of others, actually not sharing images of any other person unless they have that permission. And then being responsible online and remembering that they are creating their own digital footprint, and this is there forever, and it's very difficult to remove things online once they are put there. So actually, just to think about this in terms of longevity and moving into the future, because this could potentially harm for future careers. In terms of tips and tools to use, it's reporting inappropriate posts and content to the social media providers. The three little dots on every single social media, normally in the top right hand corner of them, there is a section there that you can report there. So it is, if something is seen, if it's something that is upsetting or inappropriate, to report it straight away. And then think carefully about using monitoring apps that identify inappropriate behavior. So as adults, it's having those parental locks, having those monitoring apps that actually they will flag up certain words. So if a certain word is used, it will come through as a notification to you to say that your young person or your children have been searching for that. Now we move on to one of those topics that we don't necessarily want to talk about, but it's one of those topics that we have to talk about, and it's dealing with sexting. The term sexting is used to describe the sending and receiving of sexually explicit photos, messages and video clips by text, email, or posting them on a social networking site. It's increasingly done by our young people who send images and messages to their friends, their partners, or even strangers that they meet online. And roughly 15 to 40% of our young people are involved in sexting. The threats here usually come from peers and can be, and is most often, coercive in its behaviour. There are many reasons why young people might get involved in sexting. So exploring sex and relationships is a natural part of adolescence, and young people often feel that they love and trust their partner and want to express their feelings this way. Most people don't see sexting as a problem and are reluctant to talk to adults about it because they're afraid of being judged or having their phones taken away. If your child has shared an explicit photo or video of themselves, they may be very, very upset, very embarrassed, especially if it's been widely circulated. If you become aware of any such incident, please try and stay calm and reassure them that they have your support, and also that they have our support here in school. Things to talk about with your young people and our children is that it's hard to control where images might be shared. It's also illegal to create or share a sexual image of a child under the age of 18. So actually, although they think they're sending it to one person, it could be that that one person then sends it across to a friend and then that friend, and it's a vicious cycle. So it's best to not send. So it's best to have these open, these honest conversations, say, look, we need to be really careful. It's all about that digital footprint that we spoke about in the last slide. Tips and tools, the t-shirt test. So if you wouldn't wear the picture on your t-shirt, don't share it online. It seems really, really silly. I've always gone with, you wouldn't want your grandma to see you in this, or you wouldn't want your grandma to see this, but the t-shirt test also works really, really well. If you wouldn't wear that picture that you've just posted online on a t-shirt, don't share it online. And if your child is involved in any sexting, please contact CEOP and Childline, who can help to remove the images. CEOP I will come on to later on as a useful website for us to have a look at the end of this session. So if we think about where our children are right now in their education, they're currently, if they're in year 7, starting Key Stage 3. If they are in years 10 and 11, they are moving into their Key Stage 4 curriculum. So far, they've already gone through Key Stage 1, so using technology safely and respectfully, keeping it personal. Key Stage 2, where they have then built upon those skills. Key Stage 3, here at Royal Bassett Academy, we run our online safety program through our Skills for Life, which is delivered via tutors in Ireland, and then on our Skills for Life days as well. And Key Stage 3, we like to include understanding a range of ways to use technology safely, respectfully, responsibly and securely, including protecting our online identity and privacy, recognising inappropriate content, contact and conduct, and know how to report concerns, as well as other things that we will discuss throughout this session. In Key Stage 4, it's kind of understanding how changes in technology affect safety, including new ways to protect our online privacy and identity, and how to report a range of concerns. And we embed this through not just our Skills for Life program, but we embed it through ICT curriculum, where it says PSHE, that's our Skills for Life, appropriate filters and monitoring systems. And there is a curriculum on safeguarding assessed as part of the Ofsted framework. So Ofsted will look at this, and they have set this through their keeping children safe in education, and how online safety is a vital part of this, and it is something that we are passionate here about at Royal Bassett Academy, and want to make sure that our students and our young people have those skills and they have that toolkit to be able to protect themselves and also look out for their peers as well. So the internet and social media has changed the way that children interact and share their lives. It's really important to have regular conversations with them about what they're sharing online, and as a parent it can be incredibly difficult to stay on top of all these apps and sites that children are using. But there are some really simple things that you can do to make sure that they become good digital citizens and avoid sharing or saying something that they would later regret. So this is all about how we can get a consistent message out and how we are being a good role model and role modeling this good behavior. So turn off notifications on apps to avoid that constant ping, that constant that noise that is coming through, that you've got a new message or a notification from an app. Turn it off or put it on silent so that it's not there. Buy an alarm clock so we don't have devices in bedrooms. This is a big one. It will help with sleep patterns, it will help with the quality and the depth and the length of sleep as well. And actually, by leaving phones downstairs, there's not that kind of that need to pick a phone up, or that need and that addiction to the phones that a lot of us and a lot of our young people have. Keeping your phone on silent in your pocket or bag when you're picking the kids up from school, or you're walking out, or you're on a family day out, just having it on silent, that kind of takes away that notification noise. It's taking away the phone from you so that you're actually having good quality family time. No phones at the table rule, or no phones between 6 and 7, or whatever time it is that you're having your family time. Actually, just get rid of the phones and be there together in that moment, having the dinner together, having those discussions together. It will help build really strong bonds and develop as a family unit, and actually the trust and those conversations can come up there. So this is a really good tip that we'd suggest would potentially work for you and your young people at home. And then having family tech-free days. Go back to the old days of not taking a phone with you, and just have those free away from technology days. And then building upon this, there are some really good tactics that you can put in place to help manage our young people and our children's screen time. So for example, number 1, setting a good example with your own device. Children will tend to model their behaviours upon you. So if you start reading a book, they may end up following your lead. A lot of us don't read as much as we used to. Remember the satisfaction of finishing a book when we were younger. Let's get back to reading. Set that example, pick a book up. Hopefully our young people will follow us. Number 2, talking about the time that they spend online to better understand what they're doing, explaining your concerns, explaining any worries that they have. It's all about that communication, that verbal communication between you. Number 3, once you've agreed on an appropriate length of time that they can use their device, put in place a family agreement to set some boundaries and don't break them. A good resource for this can be found on a place called ChildNet. So if we just Google for ChildNet there's a really good resource on setting those boundaries there. Number 4, get the whole family to unplug and create screen-free zones within the house. It could be that the living room becomes a screen-free zone. It could be that the kitchen and the dining room table or bedrooms become these screen-free zones at home. And then number 5, technology can actually help you limit screen time. For example, the Forest app is a great tool that enables them to grow a beautiful forest of different trees each day when they don't use their phone for a set amount of time. The iPad's guided access limits the time that you can use any given app for, which can be great for younger children. TikTok have just introduced I can only use and scroll through TikTok for a certain number of minutes per hour. The same with Snapchat. Other social media apps are doing this as well. So actually apps are starting to cotton onto this as well and setting their own boundaries so that you can only use them for a set amount of time. But it's important that we give children the tools that they need to take control of their own behaviour online and make the right smart choices. These are 3 things that you can do to teach your child how to be more digitally resilient. So encourage their confidence as a communicator, thinking critically about what they see and what they do and how they use devices and apps in a responsible and effective way. So 3 kind of messages here that we could get. So being a bit better at communicating, so being as confident as we possibly can, thinking really critically, is this good, is this bad, and then being really capable at how we use these apps.
Supporting preteens online, 11 to 13. At this age, it's likely that your child will become more independent, spending more time online, gaming, chatting and browsing, so it's vital to continue to talk to them about online safety. This will help equip them with coping strategies to deal with any online risks they face and help them be happy and healthy online. Here's what you can do to help. Set up parental controls on your home broadband, as well as all internet-enabled devices that your child has access to. Many will have inbuilt controls to help you manage which apps and sites your child can access and for how long, helping you ensure their time online is positive and has a purpose. Our Set Up Safe parental control guides will walk you through the steps, so you can get set up in just a few minutes. Get them involved when setting controls so they feel part of the process. Make sure to review them as they grow and become more active online. As the internet rapidly becomes a more regular part of your child's daily life, make sure you enable safe search settings on popular sites that they're using, like Google and YouTube. Set boundaries or have a family contract to set their expectations for the sites and apps they can use, remembering that you are a role model and they will copy what they see you do. Encourage them to leave devices outside the bedroom at night and have regular screen-free family times. There may be an increasing number of ways your child will be online. Gaming consoles, personal assistants, laptops for school, as well as smartphones. So stay interested in what they are doing. Respecting their growing independence, encourage them to use their devices in shared areas and set up a user account just for your child. Most children get their first smartphone before they are 12. But if you feel they aren't old enough, explain why and help them deal with any pressure from their peers to get a device to fit in. Keep them safe on the move by making use of inbuilt safety settings on mobile networks and devices to filter out inappropriate content. Check age ratings on games, apps, films, and social networks to see if they are age appropriate. For game ratings, check out the Pan-European Game Information Classifications, or PEGI ratings, and look for age ratings in app stores. Have conversations with your child about how they use the internet and what they may find there. Most social media platforms have a minimum age of 13 or above, but many children use them, so consider whether your child is mature enough to post responsibly and manage any risks they may encounter. Encourage them to develop their critical thinking, making it a habit to question what they see online and not to take everything at face value. Teach your child ways that they can protect themselves online, like enabling strict privacy settings, using block and ignore functions, and the importance of keeping personal information private. Remind them that not everyone they meet online may be genuine, and they should never meet anyone they have only met online in real life without you or an adult they already know and trust. Help your teen feel confident about saying no if they are asked to do anything that makes them feel worried or uncomfortable, and to tell you about it. Connected technology is hugely positive for most children. You can help them develop a healthy relationship with screens and tech, teaching them how to have a good balance on online and offline activity and a balanced digital diet. Because safety on the internet matters. Teen Plus. Now that your child's a teen, the internet will be a part of their daily life, so have regular chats with them about keeping themselves safe online. Help them to think about how they can build their critical thinking and deal positively with any risks they may be faced with online. Adjust your parental control settings to match their level of emotional maturity. Our Setup Safe parental control guides will walk you through the steps. From parental controls on your home broadband to internet-enabled devices your teen has access to. Put in place a family agreement that you all agree to manage expectations of when, where, and how they should use their connected devices. Developing a healthy relationship with screens is also important. Try not to dwell on how much time is spent on screens, but encourage your teen to use devices for a purpose. Talk to them about how they can self-regulate their screen time for health benefits and removing distractions. Be a good role model, as children tend to copy what they see. Don't be afraid to bring up challenging issues like sexting, pornography, and cyberbullying. You'll both benefit from these subjects being out in the open. Reassure your teen that you're here to support them and will not judge them if they have an issue they feel is too embarrassing to share. You can also make them aware of other organisations that can support them, like Childline, if they feel they can't come to you. Keep them safe on the move by encouraging them to use inbuilt safety settings on mobile networks and devices to filter out inappropriate content. Encourage them to review their privacy settings on their social networking sites to stay in control of what they share and with who. Talk about creating a positive digital footprint by encouraging them to create an online image which reflects who they are. Help your teen feel confident about saying no if they're asked to do something that puts them or others at risk, and help them critically assess what other people say about them online. Talk to them about the pressure of being asked to send revealing images, and point them to apps that can help them feel empowered, like Zipit. To build their digital resilience, give them a small allowance that they can use to download apps, music, and films for themselves from places you have both agreed on. Doing all these things will help teens become more web savvy and thrive on.
So there are lots of new pressures on our young people for the digital age, and here are just 3 professionals that are working in this field and what they're saying about them. So Lauren Seeger-Smith, to pull to be a part of the in crowd is strong, and as a parent it can be easy to forget how that felt at 13 or 14 and some of the associated risks. The online world, that can include pressures to share personal images that a child might think will improve their social status. So again, professionals that are dealing with this day in, day out, and kind of researching and thinking about how our young people are feeling. Dr. Linda Papadopoulos, will be hearing from her later on as a short clip from her. Selfies and mental health. The selfie phenomenon is like having a mirror following you around 24 hours a day, and not just following you, but giving you a minute-by-minute account of your friends, your peers, and celebrities. And that pressure that it's putting on our young people to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to be developed in a certain way is having such a profound impact upon our young people. And then Katie Collette, so social media and self-esteem. Many young people revealed that they would delete a selfie they've posted if it didn't get enough likes. And some told me that getting fewer than 50 likes would make them feel like deleting it or inadequate. So actually it's that pressure of not just taking the pictures and posting them, but actually the gratification that they're getting from their peers. If there's not enough, it's making them feel slightly inadequate. So these are just new pressures that our children are now experiencing on a daily basis. And our young people growing up in a world that is very different compared to our generation. So if we look at the percentage of children that are using social media, between 8 and 11-year-olds, we have 44%, and then 12 to 15-year-olds, we have 87% of those using social media today. The percentage of children using chats and messaging apps and sites, etc. So 64% of our 8 to 11-year-olds compared to 91% of our 12 to 15-year-olds. Therefore, it's really imperative that we get involved in our child's and our young people's online activity to guide them through it safely. And then if we look at how our children, our young people are using the internet, 56% are using a device such as a tablet, a phone or a laptop, or through online streaming to broadcast live TV. 91% accessing video on demand content, 71% for gaming, 55% for social media. This number is just increasing. This was taken from Ofcom in 2020 to 21. I'm sure the numbers for this year are going to be a lot higher. 65% are using it for messaging apps and sites, 97% on video sharing platforms such as TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, etc. 45% are using it for live streaming apps and sites. So we've got a wide variety and a wide range of things that our young people are using the internet for.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my... Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
And as I said earlier, as we move into looking at how cyberbullying may affect our young people, this phrase of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me worked when we were at school from Monday to Friday, 8:45 till 3 p.m. But now our children are accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as adults, we need to change our outlook and our advice for young people, and how actually it is more prevalent, how it is they are more accessible, and we need to think about ways in which we can support them moving forwards. And if we look at bullying, for example, to start with, bullying is defined as something that is hurtful, that can use violence, hurtful words, or ganging up to make another person feel helpless. It can be intentional, so making someone feel bad on purpose, repetitive, hurting another person or a group more than once, gives that imbalance of power, making the other person or the group feel weaker or more stupid than you. Bullying has evolved, and this can happen face to face, or we're starting to see more commonly on the internet through cyberbullying. Cyberbullying, the definition remains the same, but means of carrying it out has changed. Cyberbullying is when someone bullies another using electronic means, and this might involve social media and messaging services on the internet, accessed on a mobile, a phone, a tablet, or a gaming platform. And it's something that is becoming more of an issue for our young people and our children today. So the kind of next part of this session goes into looking at a bit more as to what cyberbullying is, how it's different, how it can impact our young people, what we can do if we find out that our young person and our children are being cyberbullied, but also looking at what if our young people and our children are a cyberbully. So this next half of the session will go through those elements. So how is cyberbullying different to real world bullying? It's very, very hard to escape. Leaving the bullies behind in the school playground is no longer an option. The people that are conducting bullying are with you wherever your device is connected. So it's very hard to escape and seek refuge away from these. There is 24-hour access. Children often check their devices throughout the evening and sometimes during the night as well. So actually they are accessible 24 hours a day. It can instantly reach a large audience. Messages and images can be shared quickly via messaging or social media, and the audience can grow to people that you don't even know, making it more and more repetitive. It's got anonymity. Some platforms allow you to stay anonymous. People often say things online that they wouldn't say in real life. It's got a lot of repetition with likes and shares, so it can quickly spread outside the child's own network of friends. We've all seen videos or images that have gone viral, and this is one of the issues that our young people and our children are experiencing today. But it's also very, very difficult and hard to police. Social media networks, online games and other online tools have report functions, but only work if children use them, and they only use them when it happens. So it's making sure that we are drilling that message into our children and into our young people, that actually when something happens, when they find something that's inappropriate, something that's upsetting, something that they don't like, that they feel victimized for, or they feel that is inappropriate for their age, is to report it and make sure that they are reporting it to these social media platforms. And then also us as adults and our trusted adults within schools and our communities, that they are talking to us. So it is vital that we're having those conversations with our young people and building that trust that they can come to us and they can talk to us about anything that they're experiencing online. So some of the terms that you might be aware of, some of the terms you might not have heard of before, but things that our young people are discussing with us. So cyber stalking, so sending repeated and frequent messages that include real threats of physical harm or of verbal harm. Cyber stalking is something that has happened and something that our young people are experiencing. Outing, so publicly sharing personal, private and embarrassing information, photos or videos about someone. The term harassment, targeting an individual or group with persistent and offensive messages which could develop into cyber stalking. Masquerading, so creating a fake identity or impersonating someone else online to harass an individual anonymously. Fraping, so logging into someone else's account, impersonating them or posting inappropriate content in their name. The term roasting, or ganging up on an individual online and sending offensive abuse until the victim is seen to crack. Dissing, sending or posting information that's intended to damage someone's reputation. The term flaming, so sending angry, abusive online messages to intentionally provoke someone into starting an argument. Griefing is abusing and angering people through online gaming. Exclusion, so deliberately excluding someone from online conversations, games and activities. We've potentially heard of trolling before, so deliberately posting provocative and insulting messages about sensitive subjects or inflicting racism or misogyny on an individual. And then catfishing is stealing someone's profile or setting up fake profiles to lure people into starting online relationships. These are all terms that are being thrown around in the media and terms that we as a school are researching into to see how that we can help and support our young people, but terms that us as adults need to be aware of and need to understand what they mean. So thinking about ways that we can help to protect our children and our young people. So just 5 quick little tips. So the first one, think before you post. The choices that we make online say something about who we are as a person. Talk to your child about how the things they do online paint a picture of themselves, and if they're not happy to wear it on the t-shirt, as we spoke earlier, that they shouldn't do it. Number 2, be share aware. Talk to your child about the risks of sharing. So for example, identifying where they live or where they go to school and what people online might do with that information. Talk about what the risks are of sharing personal thoughts and feelings, and help your child to stay safe on social media networks and apps and games. Be a good role model. Children learn through example, as we said before. Make sure that they're using the digital world in a positive way to teach them. Limiting their time online, so reducing the time spent online by setting goals. Getting involved. The best way to keep your child safe is to take on an active interest right from the start. They need your love and protection online as much as they do in the real world. So stay up to date with your child, safe in today's digital world, and make sure that we are having those open and those honest conversations with them. So one way to help your child and your young person is to teach them some great internet manners. So part 1 is 6, part 2 is 6 as well. So there's 12 things here that are going to help our young people and our children have better internet manners. Number 1, treat other people as you would like to be treated yourself. The golden rule that we are taught from day 1 is treat others how you wish to be treated yourself. Number 2, really, really important, this one, if you wouldn't say it to someone in person and say it to their face, then don't say it online. Don't hide behind a keyboard and a phone screen and say it to them. You wouldn't do it in real life, so there we go. If you wouldn't say it to someone in person, don't say it online. Number 3, think about your tone, think about how it is that you may be coming across in a message, because actually people can't see your body language, your facial expression, or hear the tone of your voice online. So don't overuse icons and punctuation to convey meaning. Number 4, don't make a situation worse by provoking people even more. Number 5, don't start rumours or spread gossip about someone online. Number 6, don't make fun of someone in a chat or online. Number 7, post things that will inspire and motivate people in a positive way. Get that positive message out there. Spread some positivity. The internet is a great tool, and ways that we can do this is we can make sure that we are sending that positive message. If the internet was full of positivity, the world would be an incredible place. So actually promoting that we can post things in a positive way. Make sure you don't create a negative environment in an online world or game through name calling. So again, if you wouldn't say it to someone to their face, don't say it online. Treat others how you wish to be treated. It's a very, very similar message there. Number 9, include people in online games and social forums, and don't intentionally leave people out. Don't have that exclusion there. Number 10, you can't retrieve material once it's been sent or posted online, so if it might embarrass you or someone, don't put it online. If you wouldn't wear it on a t-shirt, don't put it online. Respect other people's privacy. People want to have some privacy. Respect it, don't go pushing for it. And then respect other people's time and bandwidth by avoiding posting too much information. So I want to move on to looking at the signs that our young people and our children may be a victim of cyberbullying. So 1 in 10 parents are unaware that their child has been bullied in an online platform, and 54% of parents say that they are worried about cyberbullying. Now, why children might not be reporting bullying is that actually they can be embarrassed, they don't want to be labelled as a snitch or a grass or a snake by their peers. They're worried that it's going to get worse if they say something. They worry that actually they won't be taken seriously, and that they may have reported incidents in the past and actually nothing was done. So the signs are really, really important, and us here as tutors and teachers around the school and you at home, some of these signs could be really, really important. So if there are changes in attitude or behaviour, if they become obsessive about being online, if there's unexplained physical symptoms, so stopping using electronic devices suddenly or unexpectedly, seeming nervous or jumpy when using their devices, if there's any changes in behaviour such as becoming sad, withdrawn, angry or lashing out, reluctance to go to school or take part in their usual social activities, or avoiding discussions about what they're doing online and who they're talking to, could be a sign that they are a victim of some form of cyberbullying online.
I think bullying makes people feel hopeless. It makes them feel like there's nowhere to turn. I think that's one of the biggest effects of it. If you felt there was a way out, you wouldn't feel bullied. I think as a parent, if you're worried that your child is being cyberbullied, the first and foremost is talk to them. I know that sounds easier said than done, because I think for a lot of kids there's a fear of what talking means. Maybe my device will be taken away, this is important to me. So reassure them that you're on their side, and explain that you need to kind of at least understand what's happening so you can help. I would advise them not to interact. That saying, don't look at the monkey or the monkey will dance, I think is very apt for people that are trying to bully you online. They're trying to get a rise out of you, and if you can ignore it, all the better. Get them to understand that this isn't going to last forever. This is key. This will pass. Now, like anything in life, things pass when we do something about them. This may sound surprising, but I think a lot of kids may not even understand the consequences of them laughing at a photograph or saying something. They may not understand that, when they're, doing a group chat and, this isn't someone that they're that close to, so they'll leave them out, that it can be really painful. So kind of having those conversations, allowing them to empathize with other kids. I think for any parent whose child is being bullied or is in any way involved in bullying, it's a really scary time. So the more information and the more good information you can get, the better.
So if you do think that your child or young person is a victim of cyberbullying, then there's a number of things that we can do as adults and as trusted adults to help them. It's all about finding the right time to have a conversation, staying calm, opening honest questions, and reassuring them that you are on their side and you are there to help and support them. Now, if we think about the do's, so those that are on the left-hand side of the screen, they can block individuals on most social media platforms and messaging services, and this will stop them from being able to privately message them as well. So this is a really, really important tool that our young people have for them. Reporting, most social media platforms have a reporting mechanism. Content can be reported and reviewed by a monitor who can remove it if it is deemed appropriate. Again, that block and report is something that we talk about a lot at school and something that we should all as adults be promoting to our young people. Keeping the evidence. It's important to keep evidence of bullying and taking screenshots of offending materials. This can be referred back to later and have an accurate record of the offence. That will lead on to number 4 of know when to take it further. In extreme cases, in some cases, if you feel your child is in danger, then involve your local police and our local PCSOs by calling 101 or contacting CEOP, which is a link that I'll give later on. But actually having that evidence is really, really important. The don'ts on the right hand side of the screen. Retaliation. We've been taught from day one not to retaliate, actually advising our children and our young people not to respond with abusive messages and leaving conversations if they feel uncomfortable. That advice on not to respond with abusive messages, okay, is really, really important. Don't stop them going from online. Removing access is a punishment to the bullied child and actually can lead to further isolation. So allow them to still go online, but have those conversations about how to be safe and what they can do to help safeguard and protect themselves. Don't deal with it alone. Talk to your friends for support. Talk to your friends and your other adults and other parents for support. Every school has a bullying policy. We have a bullying policy here at RWBA and can help you deal with cases of bullying, cyberbullying. Talk to your heads of year, talk to the tutors. Okay, we will be able to help and offer some support to you and also to our young people and our young children and our students here at the school. And stop when the bullying stops. Okay, don't stop. Keep talking to your child and consider whether counselling could be an option there to help them. It could be that we can offer things here in school, or it could be that there is places outside of school. There are lots and lots of websites out there available and lots of places that we can signpost you to that, again, I will signpost at the end of this session of where they can go to for some support. So just as a kind of a little summary, the do's and don'ts of if we believe that our child and our young person may be a victim. Do block it, do report it, do keep the evidence, and do know when to escalate it, okay? Making sure that we are escalating in the correct way. The don'ts, don't retaliate. Don't stop them going online and punishing them further. Don't deal with it alone. Make sure that you are also talking, okay? Send emails into us as heads of year. Talk to the tutors at school. Talk to your friends. Talk to your trusted adults as well. Get that support and that help from them. And then also don't stop when the bullying stops, okay? Making sure that you're reassuring and you are talking to your child and your young person.
Well, nobody thinks that their own child is saying unkind things to other children, do they? I let them go on all the social media sites and chatted and trusted the children to use it appropriately. Her form tutor phoned me up during school hours one day to tell me that there'd been sort of some messages sent between my daughter and 2 other friends that weren't very nice to each other. and one of the children in particular was very upset about some of the things that had been said to her. Her friend's mum also spoke to me about it and showed me the messages that had been sent. And when I approached my daughter about it, she denied that there'd been anything going on. It took a while to get it out of her, but yeah, I was angry with her once I actually found out that she had been sending these messages. I spoke to her teacher and I spoke to the other parents, and between us we spoke to the children and to let them know that, you know, they can't be saying unkind things, and just to make them aware that whatever they do, it's recorded and it's kept, isn't it? And I think they all did learn a lesson from it. I removed all of the social media websites from her so she wasn't able to access them for a while, and then monitored her input and what she's been saying to people. But yeah, it did make me feel angry and quite ashamed that my daughter could be saying things like that to her friends. She's grown up a bit from then, and she's learned her lesson. You want to trust your children, but children can get themselves into situations that they can't get out of, and as they get older they look at different things. So I know my son looks at totally different things to what my daughter does, so it's just being aware of what they are accessing and make sure that they are happy for you to look at what they're looking at as well.
And it comes to that really difficult point where we actually find out that our child or our young person may be the bully, or maybe a person that is perpetrating some bullying in a form of cyberbullying towards another student, another young person, or another group of people. Now, again, in a kind of similar way to if they were the victim, I've got some kind of do's and don'ts for this. The do's are kind of really to find out why, trying to establish the facts around the incident, keeping an open mind. Often as parents, we're blind to the behaviour of our own children, so try not to be on the defensive. Think about areas of your child's life that may be causing them some distress or some anger, or leading them to this kind of express these feelings online. Talk it through with them. Talk about the blurred line between uploading and sharing content because it's funny or it might get lots of likes, versus the potential to cause offence or hurt to another person. Explaining and talking through that bullying others online is unacceptable behaviour which could get them into trouble with the school or the police, and ultimately they could end up losing friends and becoming isolated themselves. It's really, really important that we stay calm. Bullying is a very, very emotional thing. Try and keep calm, try not to get angry with the bullies, and ask how you can help them. Often there may be a reason behind it, like we said with the find out why, but actually we can think about how we can help them. Teaching by example, modelling and encouraging positive behaviour in your child and your young person, and praising them as they take this on board. So actually having those open, those honest conversations, as we spoke about already this evening and during this session, actually take it on board. Praise them for saying, look, I can appreciate and you've taken this on board and we can move forward from this. And then learn from it. Above all, help your child and your young person learn from what has happened. Think about what you can do differently as a parent and a trusted adult, or as a family, and share your learning with other parents and carers. It's all about that kind of open and honest communication and how we need to be more open and honest with each other. The don'ts, don't ignore it. Take the situation seriously and don't blame someone else. As a role model, it's best to show your child and your young person that taking responsibility for your actions is the right thing to do, to stand up, to own it, and to kind of say, look, I accept, hands are there, I've done something wrong, I'm going to own this situation. Don't get upset. Okay, it's hard. It's a harder thing to kind of do than it is to say, but try not to get upset. Stay calm when discussing it with your child and your young person, and talk with other adults to work through any emotions that you may have about this situation. Don't be judgmental. Avoid jumping to conclusions or labels. Okay, really important not to jump on that. We're going to throw a label here. Don't be judgmental with it. Consider your child's role and the role of others without anger if we can. Don't condone the behaviour. If your child has been a cyberbully, in retaliation, you should tell them that two wrongs can't make a right, and it will just encourage this bullying behaviour. And then don't take their devices away. This is a really, really difficult one. Often we think that actually if they've been a perpetrator and they have been the bully in a cyberbullying incident, is to take the phone away. Actually, this could make the situation worse and encourage them with other ways to get online, to get to the people that they've been bullying towards another student. Actually taking taking the phones away could make things worse and could make the situation worse. Instead, think about restricting the access and taking away some of the privileges if they don't stop the behaviour. Give them that chance to show that they can be a better role model, okay? That they can actually do the right thing. Okay, taking the phone away is often one of the worst things that can happen, but restricting the access and having those more open, those more honest conversations will have a greater impact on our children and our young people. So how can you help? As an adult and as a trusted adult and as a parent and a guardian, remember that this is a really emotionally charged problem. Bullying of any form is always full of emotion and often has quite significant impacts on our children. Stay calm, stay patient, and ask how you can help them. Believe them. Refrain from judging or belittling and acknowledging their feelings. Believe what our young people are telling us. Encourage them not to treat bullying as a secret. They can use it as a release for their emotions, importantly, keeping the dialogue open between yourself and them. Praise them for being brave enough to share with you. Thank your child and your young person for coming to you and saying, look, I'm really proud of you for coming to me. It's a brave thing that you've opened up and you're having this open and honest conversation with me. And then think very carefully about approaching the other parents. Often it will lead to some form of escalation, so think very, very carefully before you go straight to the other parent. So I hope that you found this session helpful. I hope that you found some of the things that we've spoken about insightful and have given you some kind of ideas on how that we as adults can help support our young people and our children in their digital lives. In terms of places that we can go to for support, as I said, and I've mentioned a few of these throughout, but COP, so Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre, this is for any concerns about online sexual abuse or the way that someone has been communicating online. So the website's there. If you just Google COP, that will come up straight away. This is a great way that we can report online abuse of our young people. NSPCC, NetAware, so there's guides to social networks that children use. There's support on there. There's counselling on there as well. Childline, 24-hour free helpline service, website, phone number, really, really good for our young people there. We also have Internet Matters, which is where a lot of research has gone into how we can support families online, how we can support our young children, getting expert support and practical tips to help our young people benefit from the internet and how they can use it safely. And then BBC Own It, there's lots and lots of guides and tips on how to help our young people thrive in an online and a digital world. So as a kind of a starting point, these 5 websites here are brilliant resources that we should all go and have a little look at before we let our students into the digital age. And if they're already there, going and having a little look about how we can then support them moving forward. So in terms of takeaways from this session, 6 things that I want you to take away with you as we move into the digital world and our next steps in the digital world. So as adults, we need to know how apps work. So the 3 W's, think www. So where do they go online? What do they do online? And who are they with online? Okay, so conversations that we can have with our young people, think www, where do they go? What do they do? Who are they with? Check the 3 W's weekly. Spot checks on histories, photos. It's good having these open and honest conversations with our young people. Think that often our young people have multiple accounts though. Okay, this is a very, very common thing. So actually making sure we are looking through all of the different accounts that they have. Sit with our children or young people. Learn the apps with them. Okay, get them to teach you how to upload a TikTok or Snapchat, a BeReal. Get them to teach you. Okay, learn the apps with them so that you fully understand how they're used. It's really, really important to note that as adults, if you pay the bill or have bought the phone, then you have a responsibility to check what your young people and our children are accessing on the phones. Suggesting that all devices that have access to the internet and social media, so phones, tablets, laptops, etc., are kept downstairs at night, including yourselves. Sleep patterns and quality of sleep will drastically improve if and when these happen. I know it's really, really difficult, but actually this is something that would benefit all of us as we move through life. As parents and guardians and adults, we need to be authoritative regarding digital use. Hold the line with apps. Be strong, be fair, and be consistent. Have that message, have those family agreements, have those no phone zones. Hold that line. Be strong, be fair, be consistent. As a family, as a group of parents or families, agree what you will and what you won't allow together. So it could be that your child, your young person, their group of friends, actually as a group of families, come together and say, do you know what, we're not going to allow phones after this certain time. It reduces FOMO and that fear of missing out for our young people, and that is a really, really big thing. Actually, they have that fear that they're missing out on a snap that's come through or a chat that's come through. So if we all club together and think we'll set these guidelines together, this could have a profound impact on our young people and how they use their phones and their online journey and their digital life. And then finally, don't just ban phones. This doesn't work, and kids will find other ways. Instead, work on and work up a positive, open, honest relationship of trust through regular checks. I know it's been a slightly longer session than we thought it might be at the start, but I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and hopefully you found some of this insightful and it's given you some tips and tricks to help our young people in their journey through the digital age. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Take care. Many thanks. Bye-bye.